What's up, Patriots? Yeah, he is an idiot. Hey, did you see my butchering of that one guy, Michael Phillips? Yeah. That guy's a fucking idiot. Oh my god. Today I got like slightly bored, so I started going around the alt-right scopes, and I basically figured out that there's so much shit that they don't know that I I guess you could say I trolled them, but I didn't insult them once. I was just saying shit they didn't know. It was interesting. Yeah, exactly. The weirdest thing, like when I was arguing the Constitution of Michael Phillips, and he couldn't even explain it or give the guidelines to how this is true and his point about healthcare. And he had no sort of sense. And then I made the argument with him ambiguous, and I actually don't even know if he knew what ambiguous meant. Yeah, it was interesting, dude. Like, but if you see from the conservatives, you can see their intellectual fallacies. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be fun. I did it really bad with another girl. It's interesting because they only every 5 seconds is just intellect. They can't go 5 seconds without mentioning someone's intellect. Yeah. I don't even consider myself. I don't know what they point me as. I just consider myself a guy that likes politics and understands it to some extent. But these fucking alt writers, they don't even fucking understand it. Hmm. Except CJ Mech. Yeah. What's up, French in Paris? No, I don't know. I was watching some of your scopes. Yeah, and then he was oblivious to my point. Hey, French in Paris, I'm just wondering because I'm reading a lot about Le Pen now and the crazy alt right bitch. But did they already do the primaries for the parties? Because I know whoever the socialist candidate is kind of a young gunner, and I don't know who he's running against, but he started his own party. That was interesting. But my whole point about Anthony Ramirez is that I explained one point to him is that the catechisms in Islam and Christianity are the same thing. I showed 2 points to him. I showed the catechism in Islam and Christianity are the same thing. And then I said to him that, look, I wasn't even defending Islam, which was just bizarre. I was just pointing out facts. And then I told him that most of Sharia law comes from the Hadith, which is not the Quran. And then he went off some weird tirade. And then it's just speaking about all this trepidation in Europe and just lamenting about just some weird. It was just odd. It was just like alt right psychosis, basically. And then he contradicted him at the end. He contradicted himself and said the Abrahamic religions are basically the same. It was interesting. Yeah, the young gunner. And I think you said you were voting for the communist. I don't know who the communist is. And the Communist Party is like recipients to like about 5% of the vote in France, which would technically make them a major party. Yeah. Where are these facts on murders in Sweden? I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, what was that thing about Bill O'Reilly finding a fake Secretary of was it a Secretary, what was it? It was a Secretary of Defense that didn't even have a correlation and no one knew who he was? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they're at the point where they're just making up shit. Let's see, the deaths in Sweden. There was an interesting stat. There was an interesting stat where it said that the homicide rate in Sweden is now like 28 or 42, something like that, compared to in America where it's 400,000. Yeah. Oh, we probably hate Muslims and black just as much. You're not the only racist piece of shit country. But what's starting to annoy me, yeah. But what's starting to annoy me is I'm seeing these political scopers like Michael Phillips just starting to pop up out of nowhere that try to be intellectuals but yet don't understand two words. I mean, Anthony Ramirez gets all his news off of like Drudge and Breitbart, which is the equivalent of like just reading all your news from like a popsicle stick. And the part I don't understand is I'd rather debate healthcare and Dodd-Frank and Simple Thing. He doesn't sound like a libertarian. Yeah, it's the Islamophobic sentiment. I I can't tell. My battery's good. He calls himself a libertarian and then goes anti-abortion, which I don't really see how you can be a libertarian and be anti-abortion at the same time. And I think he's also against gay marriage and trans people. So yes, there is some basically some contradictions there in that logic. It seems like for the conservatives, there's this new thing where they love to label themselves as libertarians, as in they believe in liberty, except if it's drugs or social. Hmm? Yeah. Yes, with drag queen eyebrows, you were right about that. The funny thing is, I figured out like there's nothing to instow that. I was arguing with him about healthcare, and he couldn't argue one sentence about healthcare, about how healthcare could not be a right in the Constitution. I mean, I can go back to the 10th Amendment and say, if it's not here, it can be basically lobbied up to the citizens at one point. Yeah, but the thing about them is that they're not going to be. Okay, I'm pretty sure you know as well as I do that most of those guys, when they reach in their 60s, yeah, they're going to be people living paycheck to paycheck on Social Security. Like, what just pisses me off is when I see poor people vote against their own interests. But the part that bewilders me most is that these are poor people. These aren't rich people. The odd thing about Trump is that I don't understand it when they try to say, like, when I'm reading the stats, I'm really starting to understand just how stupid these people are. Oh, yeah, they're uneducated and racist, but I was reading a stat that said what would bother you most about Trump, and the first thing is that he doesn't defeat ISIS, and I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. And then the second, which is like criteria, which is like 46, is that he becomes a politician. I'm like, how do you not view Trump as a politician? That's just ludicrous. I mean, where do these people get their fucking. I'm just scared that these people can actually vote. Which is kind of ironic because I remember Michael Phillips said there should be some kind of litmus test and should be merit based programs. He's president. He played all the sleazy little tricks that politicians play. I mean, look what's coming out with these Russian dossiers that, granted, haven't been confirmed yet. They're showing that he's playing every sly trick in the book. Yeah. It makes no sense to me. They were going off foreign aid. One of the top stats is that they were going off foreign aid, and what was it? In some other program that makes up less than 1% of the budget. I'm like, You guys have no understanding of economics whatsoever. Yes, exactly. Mardi Gras. Yeah. See, I don't understand it. It's like every time they try to ask about a Russian hacking scheme, and even they say they want answers bipartisan, they say no. Democrats are just mad after losing a historical election, and they think their party's done. I have two things to say to that. One is that this was not a historical loss, and any party can rebound, and didn't disclose it. Oh, God, no. They already confirmed that it hacked it. You had all our major intelligence organizations saying they hacked it. Even when Trump realized that he was fucked and had to release it, he said, I think Russian hacked our elections. What? Okay, this is just bullshit. In vague terms like crater. You had the CIA, the FBI basically confirm it. And then you have Trump that put up. They've showed that they're spies. They showed that the people that leaked it from there gave it to WikiLeaks that actually worked with Russian organizations. You're even seeing the trail go back with today. They even showed in the last week there was just basically a blitzkrieg to just get Obama administration just to release it all. It is not currently a right. You can make it a right. And there's no provision saying otherwise. Thank God the 10th Amendment.